Hi and welcome to this video. Now I was hoping the next video was going to be another video following the previous one I did with the undersail and everything, but because of the British weather it absolutely chucking it down, which it is now. Hence why we're in the car, and it going dark quite quick, so hopefully you can see with the light getting dimmer. And other things, I've decided to do this video because I know a lot of people have been asking me. I do get quite a few questions on Instagram asking me what's my car history and why I got into YouTube. So I thought I'd do this video as I go along. It will answer why I started off doing YouTube videos and why pretty much every car basically that I have owned has been a Ford. Now I have driven other cars, non-Ford. Obviously my wife has non-Fords, we've got the Kia, and I've driven lots of other different cars, but cars that I have purchased with my name on the V5 have all been Fords. Now I'm not saying other cars, Fords are better than the cars. It's not true at all. Fords are an average, probably get shot for this, but an average kind of level. They're in the level, they're in the middle, I'd say. But it's more about how they make you feel to drive, and in my case as well, the people I've met along the way. So without further ado, I'm just going to go into it because, like I say, there's quite a lot to get through. That being said, depending how long this video lasts when I'm editing it, I may make this a two-part video. If I'm doing this, I want to do it properly with quite a lot of detail, not so much it sends you to sleep. So I'm just giving you that warning now. So if you do want to pause this video and grab a coffee or beer, whatever, then do that now. So if you're okay, or if you have paused it, then welcome back. So yeah, to start off with, before I purchased my first car, I learnt to drive in a G-Reg Mark III Fiesta 1.1, and that was a burgundy colour, and it was a learner car, and it had done a fair few miles. Basically I was a proud person to take the car past 250,000 miles on a 1.1, original engine, original gearbox, a few clutches that I remember him saying that it'd been through, but yeah, it had basically done its job, and I enjoyed driving that car. Yes, it was showing its age in comparison to other cars around the time, but it was an instructor car and it got me past my test. Now, because I learnt in that car, it pretty much pushed me to buy my first car. Now during this time, you pretty much had the options of Mark III Fiestas, Saxos, Novas, and that type of thing. And because I'd learnt in this car, it was a good idea to buy one, a Fiesta Mark III. So I'll just add as well, I keep looking down because I've got my laptop in front of me. There's too much to remember, so I'm going to have to keep looking down, but I will put photos and videos on screen so you can see. So I just thought I'd mention that. So yeah, my first car was a Mark III Fiesta Frascati. It was a 1.3, it was an NREG 1995. So I've got all the photos pretty much going off that. So things that I do mention, if they're not in order, that's why, because I'm just going off loads of photos that I put together. So yeah, it was NREG 95, around 60 brake, I think they are. I should know with the one I've got now, but yeah, I think they're around 60 brake. So yeah, basically to start off with, we got that because it was a learner car and I passed my test in Mark III Fiesta, so it was a good car to start my journey. And of course, when you get driving, when you're that age, you want to do a few mods. Now things were different back then. I say when you passed your test, you went and bought an old car basically. And in that time, a Fiesta Mark III was pretty much an older car. Different to nowadays, for the younger people watching, where you go out and buy a brand new, car on finance, either because that's the cheapest way insurance, or, because you don't want to be seen in an older car. That's everyone's choice. But yeah, it was different back then. I remember it being, I think it was like 1,200 quid at the time. It was fairly decent, good condition. But I say going back, with the friends at the time, they had their cars and they were doing a few mods. So the first things to happen that I can see on the photos was the Capri spotlights. Now these were my dad's. He used to have a Capri, so why not fish those at the garage and use those. I also put some XR2i alloys on and a sun strip, and I also got some number plates with Kenny on, from South Park. I did actually get pulled for having these, but that's a different story. At this time, there was no YouTube, anything like that. When you wanted to put things online, you basically went on a forum. Now, I first joined a forum which was called Fiesta Guides, and I enjoyed putting photos of my build or my car on there. This is because as well, people didn't have quick enough internet to put videos on. YouTube wasn't a thing, so you took photos with, like these photos that I'm putting up. Basically, cameras at the time had really shocking photos, so they were the easiest thing to upload as opposed to putting videos on. So as I say, I joined this forum, and basically it was based on a forum guide of YouTube. You basically took a load of photos of what you were doing and you built a thread. So I joined that, and I made a few friends out of it. So from doing that, I did my guides and added them to the site while I was doing these mods. Now, some of these were me putting an XR2 kit on a 5-door, because this car was a 5-door, but I put the RS side skirts on because they're the easiest thing to find at the time, and an RS top spoiler. And of course, the time being the time it was, and me being very young, obviously I'm not young now, the Lexus lights went on. I can only hold my head in shame at the moment by thinking how that car was with those on, but everyone's choice. And also I went a bit mad with the sound system. As you can see in this photo, I went with the Fusion setup and amps, amped up the 6 bands, things like that. I was young, everyone has their moments. Some people still have these type sound system setups, but that was what I went through, that little phase. And also added the biggest fart cannon imaginable, as you can see from this photo. It's pretty much a chicken launcher. It was that big. And also added a lower spoiler, and even an Escort Estate, I think it was, top spoiler to go on the top spoiler, which is a bit mad, but if you can see from the photos, it didn't look too bad and worked kind of well. Needless to say, I was rear spoiler mad, but I liked it at the time. It was different. So going on from that, I wanted to do something with the archers. At the time, there was only 2 other people, I think. I think his name was Tweak and someone else, that basically made a 5-door XR2i. And this is what I did. It took a hell of a lot of time and a bit of fabrication on working the rear door archers, because obviously the XR2i is 3-door. So as you can see from the photos, I spent a bit of time trying to sort out the arches on the back. I did it, it looked good, and made quite a good job of it, to be fair. So after a while, I had that car, I decided to sell it and move on to something else. Now, what I wanted to add with this video as well is I'm going to go on and look at the MOT and see what happens to the car, or for those that weren't wrote off, which I'll get to. So this one was sold. The last MOT is showing 2007. I'll try and put the web view on so you can see, and it had 120,000 on it. Now, I think it was a month or 2 after I sold this car, I remember a friend messaging me to say he'd found my car. And he didn't tell me until he sent me the photos how he'd found it, which I'll put on now. And as you can see, it kind of met its end. So that car basically, I think, went to a scrapyard, and that was the last I heard of it. So that was the first car. So moving on for the next car, obviously from having that first car, I wanted something a little bit quicker. So I found myself looking for a XR2i, but I couldn't really afford them at the time. These were still a premium price. So I came across the next car, which is a 1.6 SI. Now these are a 90 brake horsepower car, and if I remember, this was £600, and it came with a Magnex stainless steel exhaust. It was a pretty good find, to be fair. It was an M-Reg, still 1995, and it was quite clean, to be fair. I think a woman had it. And for £500, I kind of wish you could buy them now in that condition. It's more like £2,500–3 grand for those now, if you can find one, because they're quite rare. But this was in Mallard Green. So the first thing I did, well, I think I did, was put the GTI alloys on, and then I managed to find some Escort side skirts. I believe these were fiberglass and not actual proper plastic ones. I think they were made for Fiesta. And along with that, a full G-Max suspension setup. So that's the shocker springs, and it really transformed the car. They do make a difference. So after that, I basically made a set of Euro style rear lights and added the Ford mud flaps. Needless to say, looking back at the photos now, I think I mounted them a little bit low, but it made the style of the car more like a rally type, I think, but it went quite well, I think. So after that, I added a Super Chips ECU map. Now going back, these are the plug-in type and not how you remap a car. Not how you remap a car now, with a computer and everything. It was literally just a little chip that you put in the ECU, and it was a straight plug and play. I think this took it to about 105 brake, I think, something like that. But definitely made a difference, even on a petrol. The best mod I think I did to this car is the alloys, which I believe are TSW deep dish alloys. Now, when I first got them, the tyres were obviously too big. I think they came off an Escort S2. So you can see from the photos if I can put these in. But yeah, put the right size ones on, and after they were cleaned up, they really do make the car stand out, especially with it being lowered. If I could have those alloys now, I kind of wish I never sold them, but things happen. But yeah, they really transform the car. Now, other things I did was to add RS2000 calipers. Now, obviously, this car as well had no ABS. So I remember, especially in wet weather, it was skid happy. So the brakes worked really well, too well actually, but remember doing that. And also, as everyone did at this time, and still do today, I think, a Laguna splitter on the front. It's one of those splitters that you can pretty much put on any car. It's just a rubber splitter that went on the front, and you could bend it and twist it to any bumper. So I remember selling this car. This is one that I did sell. But I did sell it because I remember that I was fighting rust quite a bit. Now, you have to remember with these type of years of car that they're not like how they are today, really. They were I think they were made cheaper, and they showed it because a lot of them rusted through. So if you have an older car within this era, you probably know, trying to find or hold the rust back is a nightmare. That's why, that's where they're saying that, Fords are rusty came from. Because they were. But yeah, I had it welded a few times, but got a bit annoyed with it and sold it on. Now, looking at the MOT history, it expired in 2009, and this had 86,000 on. I'd say not a lot of mileage for that engine, but if you look at the failure list, it was a big list. Yeah, it just got worse and worse, and it was just easier to write it off, which was a shame, because to look at the outside, like a lot of cars, even when you go to buy them now, outside they can look really nice, but underneath, it wasn't very good at all. It would have needed a lot of welding and a lot of work, so that's why that one went. So what I'm going to do is add a few what I call bonus cars. These are cars which I didn't own, but they're in the family at the time, so whether my parents had them or my wife or that type of thing, I'll just quickly go over those as well. So just a quick mention, as a bonus car, is my dad's Escort. Now, before that he had a VW Passat, which I drove as well, but that went due to, I think it was a low end bearing that went, and he needed the car pretty quick. Now, I found this Escort for him, and to be fair, it was very clean. It was just down the road from where we lived at the time, and I think, if I remember rightly, it was 650 pounds. It had 32,000 miles on it, and it was a 1.6 gear 97 reg. I say this car was very clean. I think the guy that had it before, I think he said he literally only drove it to go to the pub. Not sure if he drove it back after being to the pub, but let's not go into that. But yeah, it was very clean. It only had one bubble rust on the boot, and basically I stuck a set of RS2000 alloys on it, as the tyres were getting a bit old on the steel wheels it had. Now, at the time when I sold my SI, I was offered this car because they were looking to getting something else after they had this a time, and I basically said I didn't want it because it wasn't, I guess, hip enough at the time. If I was offered it now, I'd probably say yes, but you're young, and I wanted something that was more stylish, that was more me. But yeah, that was sold. If we look at the MOT, It expired in 2012, so it was a few years I think after it was sold. It had 89,000 on, so still not a lot of mileage, and nothing on the last MOT, which is a bit strange, but a few MOTs prior to that there is a few mentions of bad rust, so I guess it came through all of a sudden, which is a shame. But again, Ford for that era, the rust, it's a common theme, especially we don't underseal them like what we do now with older cars. But that's just a quick mention on that one. So with my SI, moving on to the next one, I wanted something, because I got annoyed with the rust, something a bit newer. I decided to splash out on another car, and this was another reason why I didn't want the Escort, is I'd already set my eyes on this next car. And this is the third car that I've had. This was a Mark V Zetec S, so it's a 1.6, and I think they're 105 brake horsepower. Now this is one of those cars that I bought at the time when I said, yep, I don't need to mod it, don't need to do anything to it, how it is how it's going to stay, because it doesn't need anything. Yeah, I think I lied with that one. Anyway, that's what you tell yourself, but it never really stays that way. So it came with a rare electric sunroof, which was unheard of at the time. I think it was an aftermarket one, but it was aftermarket from the manufacturer. And the first thing I did was try the deep dish alloys, the one from the SI. I put a photo on. At the time, I don't think they suited. I do kind of think they suit now, but again, at the time, me being young and all that, I decided to sell them for some money to do some other things. So I went and got an actual exhaust for it, because it needed a bit of sound for it, so that was one of the first things I did. I got gel overlays, I detangled the front headlights, colour-coded all plastics, trims, bumpers, door handles, the lot that could be colour-coded. I did that. Maybe a bit OTT, but that's what I did. I put braided brake hoses all the way around and green stuff pads. I lowered the car on 40mm springs. I think these were PI springs, I remember back. And then customised the rear lights. Now these rear lights I've put on Instagram, and I think I put on Instagram or somewhere, and I still get asked now how I did these lights. But basically they were clear rears, which I tinted red and just left the indicators. And put a Haribo sticker on the back, powered by Haribo. Why not? Everyone loves Haribo. Added some rear axle spacers. This is different to the wheel spacers, as it takes the strain off the hubs themselves. You put in the spacers before the actual rear drums. And added a lower strut brace from what I can see. Now I remember this was a bit annoying. It caught on every single bump. But it did really strengthen up the car. You could feel a difference, so it was a worthwhile mod. Now unfortunately this car met its end when a Focus rear-ended me. It didn't do a lot of damage from, put a few photos on, but it did enough that it crumpled the back end a little bit. Now the Focus that hit me was a Mark 1, and I think all it got was the fog light popped out and just a crack on the bumper, I think, which was rather annoying, but these things happen. Now I bought the car back as a Cat C. I decided to fix it, and I decided to sell it because I guess if you ever have your car stolen or crashed into, when you've had it fixed, I don't know if it's your own feeling or there's just something about it where it just doesn't feel quite right. And I had that feeling, and I was constantly looking in the mirror every time I drove it, so I decided to sell it. And also, due to changing jobs, I was thinking of maybe getting a diesel at this point as well, just because it was costing a fair bit on fuel. Now if you look on the MOT history, this expired in 2017 with 104,000 on. Now the MOT history was clean, needless to say, because anything that needed doing I did, and more. I think, if I remember right, they wanted to buy this car and use it as a track car, so they weren't bothered it was Cat C, and that's why it kind of came to an abrupt end in 2017, because they tracked it or took the engine out or something. But that was that car, and that one went. So moving on, like I say, the next car, number 4, I said I wanted a diesel, so because I got arse-ended by a Focus, I thought it was a good idea to buy a Focus. Now, looking round, I eventually bought a Mark 1.5 TDCi Edge. It was a 1.8 with 115 brake. I think they did a 90 version as well, but this one was the better 115 engine. And did a few mods to this one as well. Going through, from what I can see, the gel overlays, front rear wheels, painted the calipers red. Got another lower strut brace because how it changed the drivability of the Fiesta. Again, scraped on every bump. Added an an ST170 air snorkel and airbox, which obviously they're a lot bigger. Don't know if it made a difference, but I like to think so. I ordered some rear lights from the US, actually got them shipped over. Some nice person on the Focus Owners Club USA, because at the time they had a thing with having UK ones, so it's kind of a bit of a swap. So yep, I sent mine, he sent his. Got ST170 front headlights and fogs. That was a bit of a change for the front end, made it a lot nicer. Also lowered it on eye-back springs, and I remember getting this mapped, which I think made it to about 135. It wasn't the quickest car in the world, but yeah, it was quick enough in comparison to cars that I'd had prior. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Looking at the photos, I didn't really do much more. I decided to sell this one eventually because it had 165,000 on the clock, which I thought was quite a lot at the time. And I did start spending start spending a few bits on it because it needed a few bits changing. Obviously with me doing the miles as well. Looking on MOT history, it expired in 2017 with 198,000. Wow. That's good going. Nothing to say why. Maybe they traded it in, scrappage scheme maybe. But yeah, as I say, if you look after the engine, your engines will look after you. So yeah, that one went. So moving on to number 5 was a Mondeo Mark III. Now this one was very nice. This was a Zetec S version. It was an 04 reg, 2 litre, 138 brake horsepower. As I say, with it being a Zetec S, it had the really nice diamond cut alloys on it, the 18s, and these really set off the car. They're what kind of drew me into it, to be fair. Looking at things I did to it, I can see the exhaust fell off, so rather than getting it repaired, I straight piped it. Why not? Gel overlays. Remember putting a decat on this. Now, Mondeo Mark IIIs are known for being quite loud if you decat them. They give it that whistle or whoosh noise with the turbo spooling. I've got a video of the exhaust, so if I can find it, I'll put that in now. So I did put in a bigger intercooler, put the facelift rear lights on, which I actually found at a car boot. These are brand new, I think, or look brand new. An ST220 boot lip. I got this mapped, but it was never dynoed. But I did suspect around 170 brake, so because it was fairly nippy. It kept up with a hell of a lot of cars. So did enjoy driving that. I was going to lower it as well because you can see it's quite high, or saw it's quite high, but these are renowned for the suspension strut bolt snapping, and I really couldn't be bothered with all these snapping, because if they snap, you've either got to drill them out or replace the entire hub. Didn't want to go there with that. I think I had to do it once because I had a broken spring, and of course it snapped. Of course I had to do the 2 rears, and I just couldn't be bothered in doing the fronts as well. I just put some replacements on and sorted that out. Now at the time as well, I got the number plate, which you all know as a site, which is FF04ORD, which you all know. So as I say, we all know that as a channel name. So I didn't have this car too long, as basically it got wrote off. Sad times. I think I just paid about 250 quid on new front tyres as well, which is even more annoying. But yeah, it was wrote off. If we look at the MOT, we can see it's all clean. Last MOT was 2015 with 112,000 on, which was basically what it came down to when when it died. I put the photos in. That basically got hit by an uninsured foreign person, shall we say, who decided to hit my car and do a runner. Very nice of him. And the woman that was in the car at the time tried to jump into the driver's seat and say she was driving, but obviously I think they were both intoxicated or on something. At the time I was very annoyed and, needless to say, quite pissed off. So yeah, I can see on the timer now that it's cracking on a bit. I'm also losing a light, which doesn't help. So what I'll do is I will leave this one here for now. Roughly halfway, I think I'm halfway through. Yeah, so I'll leave this here for now. So let me know what you think down below, what your favourite car is so far of the ones I've had. So it's the Mark III, the SI, the Escort, the Focus and the Mondeo Z-Tech S. Let me know which is your favourite out of those. Now in the next video, because I can see it getting darker and darker, so I will continue this when I get a chance to record it, but this might be next week, because obviously it's dark when I get home from work now. But don't forget, if you want to buy me a coffee or pizza, I think you can change the ones, but you can see the link down below and do that if you wish. Don't forget, if you want £10 off car cleaning products, you can go on to Fresh Chameleon, and again leave a link down below. So don't forget to like the video, comment, or even share it with a friend if you think they'll like it, and even subscribe if you want to see more. So without me waffling on further, I will leave it there and I'll see you in the next video.